stream lectures. And before I get into this lecture, I just want to take a moment to thank all of my supporters and everyone for supporting my channel for 5+ years strong. And I want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. I hope you all had a wonderful day today with family and friends. So with that being said, let's get on down to today's lecture, which is, as a content creator, the focus of this lecture is going to be, what direction do you want to take your YouTube channel as a content creator? That's a very thought-provoking question. Like I said, my channel is well over 5 years old. This year is pretty much over. We're getting ready to usher into the year of 2026. And me as a content creator, and I tell anyone, as a content creator, first and foremost, in order to take your channel to anywhere or any level that you want to take it to, I think the first most important thing is you got to understand that there is a separation between your real life persona, your personal persona, and the YouTube persona or the social media persona. It should be, I'm speaking for myself, and it should be a separate and distinct piece. Your real life world or your personal world should not be enmeshed with the world of social media, because in reality, people, a big part of social media is a fake reality. There are some pros and cons to the world of social media, but you got to have the emotional maturity to understand and be able to separate those two. And for me, being a content creator, I have no problem, never have, in terms of a problem, any kind of problem, in keeping my real life separate from what I do as a content creator when I come in front of these cameras. That helps me propel and take my channel to the next level. What also helps me take my channel to the next level is I embrace that business model as a content creator, because it is a business. By evidence that we get a 1099 at the end of the year if your channel is monetized, to reflect the amount of money that you're making throughout the year. So that's evidence that it's a business. It's a business that violates those community guidelines. YouTube will shut your behind down. Is if your channel gets shut down and you got brand deals, guess what? You losing all of those brand deals, because I'm here to tell you, because I do embrace that business model. My channel has been monetized, I think, going on well over 3 years, going on 4 years. So I say that to say, as a content creator, that even if your channel's monetized, my channel been monetized for years now, but even if your channel is monetized, you really don't pierce the veil and begin to see significant return on your investment in terms of the money you make from YouTube until your channel has reached the stratosphere where you have now gotten brand deals. That's where the real money is. Brand deals, where companies and corporations seek you out to enter into a contractual agreement to pay that content creator money to run their product and services across their channel. And you notice I said the company will seek you out with those brand deals by communicating with you through your studio, YouTube studio. So, but hear what I'm saying. My channel was long monetized when I began to pierce the veil and get brand deals. Meaning you ain't really gonna make no money until you start getting those brand deals. But you got to do the work, the footwork, the work, the sacrifice behind the scene, people. My channel, I think I had well over 200,000 or 300,000 subscribers before my channel pierced the veil to start getting brand deals. But make no mistake, people, I have a mission, goals, and objective for my channel. If you read my description to my YouTube channel, my mission, goals, and objective, and the what behind what I do is clearly laid out. I have a strategic business plan in place that's well over 40 plus pages long, where I'm updating that business plan, I'm revising that business plan, I'm looking at that business plan on a daily basis, because that ties into that business model. And that also ties into the direction that I take my channel. Because if you don't have a business plan in place with goals and measurable objectives and projected due dates specifically for your YouTube channel, how in the world are you going to measure your progress? How are you going to gauge the growth of your channel without that strategic business plan in place that ties into that business model, that ties into the direction you should be wanting to take your channel? That's where the work comes in. And I tell anybody, I've always embraced that business model. It's critical to have the mindset and understand that you should not be enmeshing your real life with the world of social media. It should be separate. I'm not coming in front of these cameras, self-disclosing anything personal about me. When I come in front of these cameras, it's about to present thought-provoking, motivational, inspiring, useful information to the world. Real talk, people. I may do various shorts, coffee shorts. I may do live footage when I'm traveling abroad, and I may do limited live footage, and may educate the world on some of those experiences that I have gone on, such as walking inside of the Giza pyramid, walking inside of those ancient Egyptian pyramids that predates Christ, or riding on the biblical Nile River, or going inside the Vatican City, going to Rome and Italy to educate the world on that experience. Real talk, people. And just like I'm lecturing now, this is real talk. I do a lot of research and preparation behind the scene before I get in front of these cameras, which ties into the direction that I'm taking my channel. I remember well over a year ago, going on 2 years, where I was alerted in my YouTube studio, where YouTube alerted me to let me know that now your channel has met all of the requirements to get brand deals. And at that time, I had well over 300,000 subscribers. My channel had long been monetized. So that means I had to go beyond to take my channel to a whole nother stratosphere, which takes a lot of work, sacrifice, behind the scene, due diligence behind the scene, research behind the scene on a lot of my topics to even get to that level. And I'm telling you, that's where that business model comes into play. Real talk, people, which ties into the whole business piece as a content creator. But most importantly, you got to keep that balance. You got to keep that separation. You got to treat it like a business model. And once you deliver your product, whatever topic you want to deliver it on, once you deliver that topic or present that knowledge, drop that knowledge, then you deplug and you move on with the rest of your day, people. This is real talk. Because I get a lot of feedback from a lot of my subscribers, members, or whoever, on certain topics I do. They'll give me feedback on how the information that I presented helped them changes in their life, or give them more clarity or understanding on the topic. I fully retired 2 years ago as a licensed clinical addiction expert. I still maintain all my credentials. I still make money under my company utilizing my credential. But I say that to say I've done various lectures, because I'm an addiction specialist. I've done various lectures on the disease concept of addiction, relapse prevention, how to recognize behavior sign if a person has relapse on the alcohol or the methamphetamine or the Xanax or the cocaine or the marijuana, because that's my specialty. I hold those credentials in 3 different states. And trust me, in the real world, when I'm presenting those various types of lectures within my specialty, in the real world, people pay money to hear those lectures, whether I lecture at colleges, universities, or in communities. So I say that to say that ties into my mission, goals, and objective as a content creator. I'm imparting my knowledge onto the world as a content creator, because you're leaving your legacy. This ties into my brand in terms of what I do under my company, or my channel ties into my book title, Await Financial Freedom. All of that is clearly also indicated in my strategic business plan There's well over 40 plus. I have other goals on my business plan. It ain't no just no YouTube goal. YouTube is just one speck of what I do as a businesswoman to diversify my income. Real talk, people. So as a content creator, if you are not able to answer the what behind what you do, if you're not able to answer the direction you want to take your YouTube channel, then you are setting yourself up for failure. Because all of those thought-provoking questions should be laid out with steps within your strategic business plan, if you got one. If you ain't got no strategic business plan in place as a content creator, then you're setting yourself up for failure. I'm sorry. That's basic business 101. That's basic business 101. Real talk. So again, what direction as a content creator do you want to take your channel? Do you have a strategic business plan in place to measure your progress as a content creator? Real talk. I mean, you're leaving your legacy, because I don't even keep counting anymore. I think I got well over, 400 plus thousand subscribers, multiple brand deals. I don't even keep counting anymore. I really don't. Because now I can just focus on continuously sharing my knowledge, skills, and ability with thought-provoking, useful information to the world, and deplug and move on with the rest of my day. Real talk, people. Because like I said, we are about to usher into the year of 2026. And my channel will be 6 years old, June of 2026. I can clearly remember when at the birth of my channel, my rough draft of my channel on terms of the strategic business plan that I put on paper. I can clearly remember going on 6 years ago, almost 6 years ago, or drafting my strategic business plan for my YouTube channel. I can clearly remember when I only had 2 subscribers on my channel. Now I have well over 400,000 subscribers. I can clearly remember when I only had 2 subscribers. I can clearly remember when I only had 25 views. I can clearly remember when I only had 50 watch hours. I clearly remember that. But the main thing I stayed firm on was that I followed through on my mission, goals, and objectives in the strategic business plan, specifically for my YouTube channel, month after month, year after year. And I can clearly remember when I first got monetized. I mean, the criteria when my channel got monetized, we had to have 1,000 subscribers. Was it? Yeah, 1,000 subscribers in 4,000 watch hours within a 365-day time frame. And in my mind, that was just, it was in my first thought was, ain't no way in the world I'm going to ever meet those criteria. Because at that time, I think it took me a year to get my first 100 subscribers. And I'm looking at the criteria, it's like, it's no way. But I say that to say, no one in this world, I want to give all grace and glory to God, no one in this world could have told me that my channel would have made it into a whole nother stratosphere. But make no mistake, I work harder now than ever before as a content creator, specifically behind the scene. Not necessarily, because working hard as a content creator don't always negate just being in front of the camera. No, I'm behind the scene. I'm working, I'm revamping my mission, goals, and objectives. I do a tremendous amount of research behind the scene before I even get in front of the camera. I'm doing my due diligence. I may just do a lot of prayer and meditation for weeks before I decide to do a lecture. So that's that due diligence and footwork behind the scene long before I get in front of the camera. Real talk. You want to get your channel to the point, and I knew my channel was almost has a life of its own. My channel has pretty much had a life of its own, I believe, when I hit that first maybe 200,000 subscribers. Then it really took on a life of its own when I saw picking up those brand deals. So I'm just mainly just basically maintaining my channel, I spend a little bit more time behind the scene in terms of research or just doing nothing pretty much. When I say nothing, they're just mainly in deep thought, thinking about my next topic. So as a content creator, that's pretty much where you want your channel to be. And your channel is where you want it to be, because I want to say this. When brand deals start coming at you, and I can attest to this, you don't necessarily have to accept these brands, because I've had 3 different brands come at me recently. In one of them, I had no desire to agree to that brand deal, because the product that the company subscribed to or promote or have wasn't in line with a product that I use. So I say that to say all money ain't good money. So your channel is pretty much where it needs to be, where you can pick and choose on what you want to enter into a contractual agreement with these corporations for them to pay you to run their product and service across your channel. Because you got to understand, I have a brand too. I have a name to protect. I have a brand to protect, just like that company has a brand to protect. Because YouTube is not all what I do. My company, Parents and Associates Resource Center, been around 26 plus years, going on 27 years plus strong, where I utilize my credentials to still make a lot of money under my company. So my company and my credentials been around long before YouTube. So I say that to say I have a brand to protect. I have credentials to protect. So I'm not going to say yes to any brand that send me a contractual agreement to pay me. Because I've turned down one recently. All money ain't good money, because just like that company got a brand to protect, Marie Holliday, Parents and Associates got a brand to protect. I got credentials to protect that's been around long before YouTube, Real Talk people. So that's the position that you want to get your channel at, to the point where you can pick and choose on who you want to interface with when it comes to these companies, when they seek you out to pay you to run their services across your channel. But that don't mean you have to accept it, because a part of that brand and a part of that contractual agreement, me as a content creator, I can either accept or deny the contract. And I don't always accept all of them. I don't care how much money they throwing at me. Real talk. So that's all I have. Again, you got to be able to ask yourself what direction as a content creator you want to take your channel. And I just want to thank all of my supporters for listening in on this live stream. Anyone who's listened to enough of my content, I'm going to acknowledge my supporters and listeners who are chiming in. But one of the things I don't do, because it'll slow me down, I'm not going to go back and forth or responding to these comments individually back and forth, because that'll slow me down from my deliverance. But I do want to acknowledge everyone listening in. I see the comments. I do want to acknowledge that. But one of the things Marie Holliday does not do, and I've never done this in the life of my channel, I'm not going to go back and forth, because that's going to slow me down on my deliverance. Because once I get done, which I'm about to finish in a hot minute, once I get done with this lecture, I'm going to deplug and move on with the rest of my evening. And that's where that balance come into play. Because if I were to go back and forth, this would turn a 20-minute or 15-minute or 30-minute lecture into 2 hours. And no, I'm going to keep the balance like I always have. And that's the importance of maintaining that balance and that separation as a content creator. There's a social media persona and there's a real life persona that should always be separate. No different from if you're still in the workforce, you got a job, whether it's full-time or part-time, and your job should not be intermeshed or intertwined with your home life, your personal life. It should be separate. Real talk. So being a content creator is no different. I keep that line in separation and have no problem with it. So that's all I have. Simplify, simple fidelity, and I'm going to leave you in the care of your own conscience. Have a great day.